Welcome to Catch Outdoors, presented by the Waypoint Podcast Network at waypointtv.com. I'm your host, Captain Rob Modies, reporting to listeners each and every week from the fabulous Florida Keys. This podcast is centered around the great outdoors, topics on fishing, mostly, boating a lot, beaching, bicycling, hiking, camping, and most anything else related to spending time outside the home or your office. So kick back for the next 40 minutes or so and get a taste of my Florida. This week's episode, number 79, Dress for Success. But first, some announcements. Ding Darling National Wildlife Sanctuary on Sanibel Island is going to reopen on April the 4th. This includes the Wildlife Drive and the Nature Store. I mentioned this last week, 6 months since Hurricane Ian hit the Southwest Florida coast. Some things are certainly better. Some are not. It's going to take a while. Any support you can give to the businesses along the beaches over there would be more than welcome by the locals. Some news from Key West. Got news yesterday that Michael McLeod, he's a singer that hangs out at the Schooners Wharf on the weekends and has been there for 30 plus years. A favorite of mine and Janelle's. Every time we go to Key West, we would go to Schooner Wharf just to hear Michael McLeod play. He does a laid back single guitar with a little bit of a drum machine bass in the background kind of thing. A one-man show. Back in the day, he used to have a bass player join him on stage, but really, really good local music. He's a great songwriter. He writes about the beaches and fishing and outside and just great stuff. He is retiring, and he's headed out of Key West at the end of April. No one knows where, but he's leaving. So if you're going to catch him, if you haven't seen him or you're going to be in the Key West anytime in April, you might want to stop in on one of the weekends and take a listen. He's really, really good. Again, that's Michael McLeod, and he does have his stuff on YouTube. On Apple Music. You can find him there. Hey, now buy my books. Yeah, I still have some copies on hand that you can order, and they're signed. I was cleaning the garage, and I found 2 boxes of all 3 of the books. Not a whole lot of them, but there's a few in there. Some I didn't even realize I still had, but they're signed. Get on there, man. I've discounted the price on a couple of them on the on my online site on catchoutdoors.com. You can go on there and purchase the books from there. So anyway, fishing report. I finally got back out into the backcountry this past Tuesday of last week. A bit breezy, but really wanted to explore some new areas, which I did. Turned out I found one really good place. It was great to hide from the wind up near an area. It's Shell Key. Shell Key is a very long, I guess I'd call it a skinny key. It looks to me like it could be Calusa Indian Mound type stuff. There's a couple high spots on it. Thus the name Shell Key, I'm guessing. I really don't know. I didn't look it up, but you can see where the mangrove humps up in a couple of spots on the island, and usually that means Calusa Indian activity of some sort a couple thousand years ago. I really enjoyed the boat. The Mako 18 LTS has been doing great. It was very choppy going home from that location back to Key Largo, but boat did fine. So I'm real happy with the purchase. I'm real happy with how it performs. Yeah, I got a little wet. There's always spray when the chop comes up to 2 feet on a bay. It's hard to avoid, but it's okay. It works good. And I like salt water. It feels good on the skin. Cudas everywhere. I did manage a few undersized snapper and a lot of mystery fish. I lost them. Sharks, bonnet heads, and lemons on the flat. No bait on board, so maybe next time I'll take some finger mullet out there or something just to see if I can't pick up a shark, just for giggles and grins. I'm one of those people that just likes to have the rod bent. Fishing report part 2, yesterday, Sunday. Today's Monday. I'm recording this the day before it's due. Yeah, man, procrastinated right down to Monday. I finally got to hit the water again with my wife, Janelle, and it's been a while. It was a bit breezy, but not too bad. We headed up in the back today. I'm back into the bay yesterday, I should say, and fished again around Shell Key. I wanted to show her the place and what it looks like. Got a couple barracudas out of there, and then we went over to Whale Key and tried that. And then went up into the upper bay. Got cudas, jacks, blue stripe grunts. Pretty good place for hooking up some nice pinfish for future offshore trips. Wind was up quite a bit, but made the trip back without a problem. And I am still hunting for that honey hole. We definitely did a lot of really great exploring yesterday into places that we had not fished before, and that was the object, was to try some new stuff as we work our way up into the top of Florida Bay. So, as I mentioned last week, tarpon are on the move early. Well, they are early. I said sort of early last week, but they are early. They're really getting up and moving around a lot. There's a lot of tarpon pictures around. I'm going to have to go west a little bit to explore that. It's March in the Keys. It's almost April. I mean, I can't believe we're at the end of it. What is today? So this recording will be on the 20th. You'll be hearing it on the 28th. Wow. Anyway, month's almost over. We're diving right into April. So spring break is virtually over down here. Things are calming down a little bit, getting a little quieter. I think we'll see a pretty good outflow of people here shortly as they head back north and back to their winter. I guess that's their summer climbs, right? Although I saw a picture from a guy up in, he was in Minnesota with snow everywhere. So sorry, dude, but that doesn't happen down here, thank goodness. So, but anyway, tarpon, I guess, as I said before, 'tis the season. They start and they head up there. A few tactics on the tarpon: be patient, head up into the back country of the Florida Bay, and be quiet. You want to get that motor off as quickly as possible, get the trolling motor in, or get up on the polling platform and do your polling and searching. These tarpons spook easily. If you drive over them, get too close with the motor on, you're going to run them right down into the ditches and creeks, and they'll just disappear on you. They'll leave rapidly. So do your best to be quiet about it. Fly fishing tends to work better than spin. Spin baits drop hard on the water, and they tend to run from that at times. So I have found that fly fishing works a whole lot better for dropping a lightweight fly right in front of them and getting a response from them. So keep that in mind. Just some tips. Okay, now on to episode 79, Dress for Success. There are literally dozens and dozens of outdoor clothing manufacturers, and they all seem to have something that we Floridians can wear while enjoying the outdoors. History lesson. You know how much I love history and science, so here's a couple of little, well, it'll be more than a couple. Let's do this. I'll probably do this in a nice long string of stuff. I am a fond person of outdoor wear. It's all I wear. I don't dress up unless I absolutely have to. That's going to be weddings and funerals, and even the weddings around here are generally quite casual, so it's mostly funerals if I have to wear a jacket somewhere. One of the first companies I personally took interest in as an outdoor person way back when was LL Bean. I'm sure there were others out there at that time, but Bean was my go-to because I spent so much time outside. Except for the times that I was working or sleeping. I was outside hiking, fishing, or both, you know. However, LL Bean isn't the oldest outdoor clothing company in America. That honor goes to the Woolrich Company, Woolrich, Woolrich Company, founded in 1830. And yes, there are still 3 original stores. I looked it up. One in Woolrich, Pennsylvania, where they originated, and then 2 in New York at Soho and Woodbury. Woolrich furnished mostly gear for colder weather, so it really never had much of a showing here in Florida or much of an effect on me. I mean, I know of the name, but I do remember my grandfather from New Jersey having some of it in his closet because he obviously fished year-round. He wasn't one of those guys that just stopped fishing because it got cold. He would still hit the streams and stuff like that in the multi-insulated waders and all that stuff and jackets and things, and Woolrich was a product that he would have known and probably used. LL Bean made a name for itself via catalog shopping, though. It was established in 1912 by a hunter named Leon Wood Bean. I can't get the middle name. I don't understand Leon Wood, but that's his name, Bean, in Freeport, Maine. I remember being able to order just about any type of outdoor wear from them. However, they too lean much more toward the gear that I'll call Northeast clothing, you know, the chilly climbs, even in the summer. You know, early mornings in the summer sometimes can be quite cool on the water because of water temperature. So that's what they did. So again, it was something, I think I remember, you know, we had cool days in Florida, and I lived in Kentucky for a while, and I became quite fond of flannel. And LL Bean just seemed to be the go-to place for flannel shirts or heavier shirts. I wasn't so worried about the pants. I wore jeans most of my life, so it was more about what was on top. So heavy shirts, overshirts, things like that. That's what LL Bean did for me. Soon after that for me came Orvis, good old Orvis. Although they started in 1856 as a fishing tackle company, they eventually supplied fishing clothing to all of us outdoorsy folks. I have to admit that their fishing shirts are tops with me now, although expensive. I like the fact that they still use a good bit of cotton in their manufacturing. Here's a tidbit for you. Orvis is the oldest mail-order retailer in the United States. Ta-da, Jeopardy question. And my first fly rod came from Orvis. And to this day, that's what the Orvis name really mostly means to me, and what I feel they are mostly known for is fly fishing. I mentioned their shirts. I love them. Absolutely love them. I'm not going to, they're, well over $100. Sometimes you're closer to $150, and that's a lot for a fishing shirt. But if you get blood on them, or guts, or whatever, or just stuff, bait, whatever, it washes off. They use a mix process in their material I like, about 60 some odd % cotton. And then they mix in a little polyester and other materials to help take the wrinkles out. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't really care if I'm wrinkled when I go fishing. I am not a style dude going fishing. I don't press my shirts. I don't send them to the cleaners. I don't make them look nice and neat. I just put them on out of the closet. So the Orvis shirt actually has improved my look accidentally because it looks more pressed. Big deal. The fish don't care. I mean, I always say that the fish don't care. And neither does anybody else out there on the water. The idea is to be comfortable. And these shirts are, I guess I'd call them airy. They're very lightweight because of the way the material is manufactured, and they feel great. And I have a total of 3 of them now. And I just switch between them as for going fishing. They have one feature on that I like. The collars are buttoned down, but the buttons are hidden underneath the collar itself. So in other words, the collar overlaps the button down button so they don't get in the way. Fishing lines, things like that. Back in the day when I was throwing a cast net, that was absolutely essential. Cast nets will snag on anything that's sticking out on your body. So you take your jewelry off, take your watch off, everything goes when you're going to throw a cast net. This shirt has got a really unique collar system with the button downs. I like that. And I also love it's got a side zipper on the left-hand pocket. So you've got the pockets that open on the top like with a Velcro type snap. They pop up. You can put stuff in there. But on the side of the left pocket, there is a zipper that runs vertically up and down the side of the pocket. You can tuck your glasses in there. I wear my specs, man. I can't see up close without them. And then I have my, my sunglasses, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit here as part of our outdoor wear. And I like to be able to pop those sunglasses off, pop those glasses out of that little pocket and put them on my face. Most pockets have like a Velcro top on them or a little button or something to keep your glasses in, which doesn't feel very safe when you're leaning over a boat to release a fish I just don't want my good glasses to wind up in the drink. And then I'd be blind for a week while I wait for another pair. So anyway, the little zipper is fantastic. And the zipper is made of a material that won't rust. So, I mean, there you go. They know what they're doing. Again, they ain't cheap, but I think they're worth it. Next in line, Columbia Sportswear. I honestly did not know that they were this old. They originated in 1938. I became keenly aware of them as a fishing guide. Everybody's wearing Columbia. Is it a style thing? Are we following along like little lambs? Just this is what we do? It's like, no, that's not it at all. It was just made for the outdoors. It was made for fishermen is really what it was. They weren't messing around. Now, I'm not sure about the 1938s on. I'm sure there was a lot of outdoor wear that had to do with staying warm, staying dry, because they still have that, of course. But their innovation for fishermen was really something. They came out with a line called PFG, which is Professional Fishing Gear is what it stands for. And you'll see that PFG logo on shorts and shirts and jackets and all kinds of stuff. It just means that it's made with a little extra care for the guy or gal who's going to be outside fishing in the weather, getting splashed, and trying to get the sun off. They were the first company that I remember doing SPF. The stuff that you find on bottles of sunblock. They put SPF ratings into their shirts, 30%, 40%, 40 SPF, 30 SPF, just like you'd find on a good bottle of sunblock. It had to do with the weave in the material to help block the sun from getting through onto your body. And I just thought that was a fabulous idea. And that's another reason the PFG line took off. Clothes are comfortable. They still make cotton, although they do an awful lot of blends and they do a lot of polyester, like all that. I guess it's cheaper. I don't know. I know it's lighter weight, but I'm just not, okay, I'm going to stop right there. We'll go back and talk about Columbia here in a minute. I am not the biggest fan of polyester fishing shirts. Matter of fact, I am definitely not the biggest fan of them. They seem to be of good quality, but I hate the way I sweat in one on a hot Florida summer day. Sweat runs down your body, doesn't get wicked like away from you like cotton does, which is what cools you. So you got this constant terrible feeling. I don't know. And the ones that are t-shirt like, I'm not talking about the button-ups, the pullover ones. I don't know, man. If you got a gut on you, you look really funny with one on. Look like you're wearing a watermelon in front of you. And yeah, I'm growing a gut, so I can speak to that. They're too tight. That's part of the problem that I'm running into, that I have, I've been given plenty of these things. If you went to tournaments 10 years ago, which I did 12 years ago, you got one. I mean, it was in your tournament bag. They stopped doing button-up shirts for some reason and started doing these polyester T-shirts, probably because they hold logos longer and they look nice, when you put the name of the tournament on and stuff, and the sponsors and all that stuff. I'm just guessing here. But I don't like to wear them on a hot summer day. Wintertime, great. Take them out head out to the restaurant. You're trying to dress up in the Keys, put one on, whatever. But I don't know. They just aren't for me. I much, much, much prefer the cotton. Now, I will say this. Some new manufacturers that I'll talk about here shortly have put more space in them. So they're not real tight on your arms or real tight on your wrist. I don't, those of you that are listening to this that have experienced these shirts, you know what I'm talking about. They were just clingy. It's the only way you can put it, just clingy. And things have gotten better. I will say that. Things have definitely gotten better. So back to Columbia. Columbia came out with this line, I said, the PFG line. And in their shirts, they were just really hard to beat. They were vented, was the biggest thing in the world. And what that means is under the arms and on the back of the shirt, they actually had a flap with a vent in them that was open to the skin. And so they would breathe. The air literally would go through the shirt and out through the shirt, especially when you were running the boat at speed. It was wonderful. It would just cool you off immediately. I went through my golf phase. I'm a terrible golfer. I went through my golf phase. I wore them golfing. The only weird thing is most courses made you tuck them in, which was really stupid, but that's another story. They don't vent real well when they're tucked in. You need to have the bottoms open. I don't know why golfers have decided that putting a belt on and tucking a shirt into golf is the thing. It just absolutely puzzles the bejeebers out of me. It seems to me that if you're golfing, you want to be comfortable. You don't want to be styling. Maybe that's where the fishing thing came from. Yeah, you got to be styling while you're fishing. No, you don't. Like I said, fish don't care. And I'm pretty sure the cup on the green doesn't care either. So there you go. Yes, I love my Orvis, but I still wear plenty of Columbia. So onward. Anyhow, I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go Orvis all the way now. No. If I'm not buying Orvis, I'm getting Columbia. That's the way it should be, I guess. Bass Pro Shops, worldwide sportsman's line of clothes. Yep, they're pretty darn good. I was a Bass Pro guide for quite a while. Ran their Mako, the 21 LTS. Really enjoyed that. So yeah, I got a discount. I know. No, they didn't give them to you for free. I mean, you still paid for them. You just got a nice discount on the shirts and clothing, and they have great clothing. Plus, they had cotton blends, and they also realized that it was a good idea to keep these in. Although they did the same thing everybody else has really done. It was about a 50-50 on some of the shirts. You'd have polyester mixed in with the cotton to make it look good, so it came out of the closet looking somewhat pressed instead of all wrinkled like cotton does. But, for the money, they're pretty hard to beat. I mean, they're half the price of everybody else and sometimes more than that. I like the color and style. They bring out new stuff. It seems like every 6 months to less than a year, there's always something new on the shelf, a new pattern or new color. I'm particularly partial to the checkered look on shirts. I really like that. And I like light colors. I do not buy shirts that are like dark blue and dark brown. For those of you that don't know, that absorbs sun, and it makes you hotter than hell down here in Florida, or anywhere else for that matter that the sun's shining on you. Go with white. Go with light colors. Pink's okay. If you can wear pink, fish don't care. Pale greens, pale blues, things like that, mixtures that help reflect some of the sunlight off of you. And Bass Pro's got a really good selection of that kind of stuff. And they're located just about everywhere now. Every major city seems to have a Bass Pro shop, especially down here in Florida. Heck, we even got one in the Florida Keys. We only have one Home Depot in Marathon, and almost nothing else to speak of that's really a major box. But by golly, there's a Bass Pro in Islamorada, a Worldwide Sportsman in Islamorada, which caters heavily to salt, I might add. They are not your typical... definitely not your typical Bass Pro, which generally gravitates toward freshwater fishing obviously for bass, duh. But the Worldwide Sportsman is definitely into the salt side, so worth a trip. The one in Islamorada is really nice, really nice. 2 floors, great clothing. Janelle instantly heads for the women's section upstairs. It's bargain shopping for quality clothes. They do a good job with their selection of clothing. They do a good job with their own line, the Worldwide Sportsman brand. So check it out. If you don't want to spend the bucks on an Orvis or Columbia, I can't say that'll blame you. And by the way, Bass Pro does carry Columbia products right beside theirs, so it's available. But if you're looking for that bargain thing, and you're the messy fisherman and you don't need a fancy shirt, then you should probably check them out. I got quite a few in my closet, and I like them. They also make a complete line of T-shirts, casual outdoor wear for both men and ladies. Like I said before, I know Janelle enjoys the casual wear that they have, and so she shops for that on a fairly regular basis, and I like it too. T-shirt selection's pretty amazing. They carry it like the major brands, from around Florida, so you can find just about anything with any saying on it that you want or any location that you want. So check that out. Here's an obscure one for you: Vineyard Vines, just like it sounds, Vineyard Vines. I really and truly had not run into this until I went into Florida Keys Outfitters in Islamorada, and they had them on the rack in there, and I was looking at them. These are quality shirts, but I think these are Sunday go-to-meeting. You ever heard that? Yeah, tight shoe night at the parties, that kind of thing. Yeah, you got to put on a dressy shirt. You got to go out somewhere. This is probably something you want to check out. I'm not sure I want to get blood and guts on these. I have one. I really like it. It's purdy. It's really nice, but it's more of a dress up. Now, it's styled for fishing. I mean, it is. They're cut a little tight. They don't let a lot of air in around them, but I just wanted to mention them because I thought they would, if you got somewhere you need to go and you want to look good and you want to dress up a little bit, but you still want to have that fisherman look about you, then Vineyard Vines is something to check out. Really nice, pricey, but yeah, you got to have one. You got to have one in the closet, I think. Now, speaking of tournaments, fishing tournaments, I don't know where in the heck this next manufacturer came from, but man, oh man, did they went from who is that to wow, everybody's wearing one. Hook, spelled H-U-K, okay, but pronounced Hook. I'm sure those of you listening, you have probably seen it. You might own it. Their marketing plan was really, really pretty cool. It was a lot like Tito's vodka, which, okay, look, I'm going to say it here. No offense to Tito. I'm not partial to Tito vodka. For me personally, it's got a harsh flavor about it, but man, it's made in Texas. It's extremely popular, and their marketing plan was pretty much like Papa Pilar's rum, which I do like. Put it in every daggone tournament. Offer it for free. Bring bottles and set up a booth and have at it. I mean, duh. The fishing guys go, hey, this is pretty tasty. I'm going to buy me some of this stuff. And there you go. I believe that Hook probably wound up the same way because it wasn't around. I didn't notice it at any tournaments or any fishing type stuff. And then all of a sudden it just appeared. And it appeared in your what we call the goodie bag. Whenever you do a tournament, you get this bag of stuff. And it's everything from business cards, from boating insurance companies, to travel, to shirts, pants, belts, pliers, all kinds of stuff in these goodie bags as part of, when you sign up for your tournament stuff, here you go. And it's just wild how much stuff is in there. Well, Hook was in there. That was pretty much, that was my first shirt from them was, oh, Hook, wow. Their marketing was really big. If they found out that you like fishing, you're going to start getting emails from them one way or another. Same thing with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, the whole bit. They're there. Quality wear. I will say that it is quality wear. Again, it's a lot of polyester. I'm not, again, real wild about that, but they do have some dress shirts that look really nice and feel good on you. So I have a couple of those. The logos are good on them. The quality of print looks great on them. But they made a name for themselves, I am sure, by marketing to the fishing tournaments. That's like a lot of booze companies have done too. I can't really fault it. The polyester blends are also a little nicer than some of the other ones. The blend feels good, even though I told you I'm not a big fan of polyester shirts. You can tell that it's lighter in weight. It's stain proof. Well, stain resistant. I don't think anything's really stain proof in fishing, but it does pretty well. And I haven't really seen it anywhere outside the Sunshine State. I don't know if it's just inherent to our market, our beaches and market. There's a good chance that they're doing tournaments, they've moved out elsewhere. The biggest fishing market on the planet is bass fishing. I mean, obviously Bassmaster and that stuff is huge. So I would have to imagine at some point they're going to wind up mixed up in that as well. Historically, they're not very old. Like I said, I'm going to say my heaviest fishing was in 2000 to 20. Well, until I got sick in 2015 and had to stop. But big time tournament stuff was 2010, right in there. And that's when I first noticed it. So I'm really not sure how old they are, but it's interesting just how quickly they took off by using a marketing plan that absolutely worked. So there you go. Again, it's spelled Hook, H-U-K. Catchy. Yeah, I know. Pretty cool. Next on the list is AFTCO, A-F-T-C-O. And you might hear an ad. There might even be an ad on this podcast from them. They support Waypoint. They're one of Waypoint's major advertisers, so I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to hear one pop up even in this podcast. Although all of us have heard about them long before this. They started in 1958, and this is really interesting. They were primarily a parts store for fishing equipment. They came out with a lot of the very first pieces and parts used on mostly heavy offshore. Like, for example, they were the first company to make aluminum handles. Everyone else was making cork handles with a kind of a hard plastic or metal seat. It would usually be like a hard aluminum seat for the reel to sit in, that kind of stuff. They actually came up with the first butts, the whole tail end of the rod that was aluminum. And I forget, they had a trade name. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it was, but they were like dual something, because they had the ability to mount the reel, but they also had the little cross cuts at the end that sit into the fighting belts. So your fighting belt's got this bar, these little bars in them at the bottom, and it keeps the reel from twisting in your hands. When it sits in there, these little slots go on top of these little bars, and they lock it in place so that it won't rotate. Of course, when the fish runs left or right, your rod actually starts to bend toward them, and it's very hard on your hands to try to keep that under control. So AFTCO invented that and came out with that. That's how I knew of them. Heck, one of their major innovations in 1967 was the roller guide. I recently talked about this on fishing rods and equipment. The last week, as a matter of fact, when I was talking about questions I've had about rod selection, roller guides on offshore rods are like the thing. They're all that and a cup of tea. The guides have rollers on them, and a lot of them are bearing rollers, ball bearing rollers, so that when your line is going out through the rod, it rolls over a roller and not just over a stationary fixed guide, which creates friction. And when you're messing with something huge on the bottom or running from you, that's really, really important. And 1967, they were the ones that invented the roller guide that almost every manufacturer uses now. So AFTCO's been around a while. In 89, this is kind of cool. So they started back in 58, and they were making all these innovations for fishing gear, reel handles, just you name it. They were doing it when it came to rods and reels. In 1989, AFTCO started a clothing division and came out with a pair of men's fishing shorts that are still widely popular. I mean, they're just everybody has a pair of these daggone things. It's called the Original Fishing Short, and it has a little AFTCO fish symbol on the leg, down by where the seam meets the leg, and terribly comfortable. More like a swimsuit. I mean, designed like a swimsuit, but they were shorts with pockets and places to stick things in, and a belt to put your pliers on, stuff like that. So that's how I remember AFTCO more than anything else, was in '89 when they really started making their clothing. And of course, something else that you'll see in a lot of shops, this is really funny, kind of a funny note, because everybody's got these now, these great big wide brim straw hats, AFTCO slapped right on the front of it. I think there's one here in the house somewhere. I'm almost positive there is, but keep that sun off your shoulders, man. Get that big old straw hat and put it on. But AFTCO has been around for a long time. Check out the shorts. You won't regret it. All right, let's go local, real local, Key Largo local. There's a company here called Avail Fishing, Avail, Avail Fishing. And I became cognizant of it when we moved here in August, quite frankly, this past August. I have to admit that it is a local Key Largo origins, but so I have to talk about it, obviously. But I also like the product. I mean, it's really, really good. A couple that has one of the better YouTube fishing channels started this line of outdoor clothing. Clay and Stephanie. They're the stars of a YouTube show called Life by the Bow, who have gotten popular enough to wind up going out with George Poveromo and doing a co-show with him. George decided it would be a good idea to get this couple on his show, and they brought him on the boat for Life by the Bow. Two great episodes of fishing. Really, really good. There's just something real genuine about this couple. They really enjoy being outside. They enjoy the Florida Keys. They take these wild boat trips. They take their boat all the way over to Bimini, then they'll turn around and take their boat all the way out to the Dry Tortugas from Key. I'm not talking about towing it and dropping it in the water, but they'll literally boat there. They did do one when they went to Key West and put it in the water and took it from there, but to the Marquesas, stuff like that. And then, of course, the local fishing here around Key Largo, which is so good. And I'm learning, watching them and their rigs and what they use. Clay is very, very sharp. I mean, that guy really, really, he's young, but he really knows his stuff about fishing the waters around here. And I'm really impressed with both of them. And their attitude on the boat is hilarious. She's almost always out fishing him. And that's what I've been telling people for years. The ladies they'll just embarrass you on the boat. And she's pretty good at it. So be sure to check out the show. That's called Life by the Bow. We started watching the shows after moving here, and I enjoy those. But then they came out with this line of clothing, and I'm not sure when. I think the Life by the Bow is probably only maybe 3 years old. The Avail line is a line of fishing clothes that they both support, and came out with as something comfortable to wear while they're fishing, and obviously to sell shirts. I mean, duh, but I like them. I like them a lot. I finally got one. They were at the big, huge Islamorada boat show, and they were also at the flea market, the giant flea market that they had down there, and picked up one of their shirts and really, really like it. It's comfortable. Like I said, if you're going to get the polyester blend shirt, this one's got a lot of room. And I've already said I'm not a big fan of those, but I like them because there's room in them. Maybe everybody's catching on. Maybe that's the deal. Maybe they're actually starting to build these shirts a little differently. Instead of being so snug, they actually have some breathing room in them, so at least you get a little air on you instead of like wearing a dive suit while you're fishing. And colors, they have nice patterns on these shirts. You don't just get a plain old dull gray or a plain old light blue or white. They have patterns in them, and they're really attractive. So, I said you're not going to be showing off, but maybe the fish do like it. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I'm not. Fish don't care. But if you're going to go out to dine, and you want to put something styling on to go out to eat for dinner after the fishing trip, or head out for lunch after get back from fishing, doing the early morning trip, yeah, pretty nice. Actually, really nice. And because the company is male-female, Stephanie and Clay, there's a great selection of lady stuff too. So keep that in mind if you're hunting. You ladies, if you're hunting for the fishing shirt, you might want to check out Avail. It's good stuff. They're available online, by the way. All right, let's do some basic stuff. Hats. Good old hats. I probably have more hats than you can imagine. I'd probably have more of them if they came with fully adjustable back straps. That's really my two big deals is how big is the bill? That's the visor. I think they officially call it a visor. I don't know where the bill thing came from, but anyway, yeah, bill of a duck. I get it. It used to be like the longer the better, but unfortunately that blocks your sky view. So if you're bird searching, it makes it a little difficult on a boat offshore. So you want to shorten the bill back a little bit so you can see around it somewhat. But it keeps the sun off your face. That was the main thing. The back straps. Oh man, I do not like the plastic button back strap, which has only one setting. You know, it has like 5 or 6 settings, and you have like almost a ½ inch gap between each one. It's ridiculous. You can't get the hat on your head exactly right unless you're just perfect at one of those buttonholes, and it's very difficult to adjust when you're driving at 35 to 50 miles an hour in a boat. You know, it just is. You can't snug it down quickly, so you have to take the hat off, stow it, get sunburn on your head, and then put it back on when you get to where you're going, which is ridiculous. I like the back strap to either have Velcro or a buckle. Now, the buckle is very hard to adjust when you're moving. No doubts about it, because you're basically cinching up a piece of material through a buckle and then pulling it tight. Bad. But, you know, quite a few hats have it. A lot of quality hats have that. Velcro is the way to go. If the back strap is Velcro, you can literally be moving, put your hand on your head, hold your hat, pop it open, tighten it up, snap it back on, you know, Velcro it back to the back of your head, and you're good to go. I like that. And that's what I look for, I'll be honest with you. And I have lots and lots of hats because I'm just addicted to the logos on hats. That's all there is to it. I have more hats than anything else. If it says something that I agree with, if it's from a place that I've loved visiting, if it's a bar and I like that bar, I'm going to wear your hat. There's no doubt about it. Not all the time, but I'm going to, I switch between my hats all the time. I got a few real favorites, but I switch between them. I have a lucky hat. I know I've talked about this before. There's no luck in fishing. That's my motto. There's not. There's skill, science, basically. But I got that hat because every fisherman's got something that means something to them that they have to take with them when they fish to keep things going. It's just one of those psych out things, I guess. But yeah, I got the hats. Anyway, so keep that in mind. Bill size, and the back strap. Those are two key elements. Also, something else to point out. I mentioned this earlier in the shirts. Dark ain't cool. Literally. If you've got a dark blue hat, a black hat, something that's dark in color, dark green, dark red, any orange, that's going to absorb light and it's going to make your head hot. That's all there is to it. I don't care how many vent holes it's got in it. Go light if you can. If you can find a hat that anywhere from light gray, light blue, whites get messy. I like the khaki, that khaki color. That's probably one of my favorites. So I can find a hat in khaki, I'm going to get it and put it on my head. The only way in the world I'm wearing a dark hat is if I'm going to the store or I'm going out to eat and I want to pop a hat on. I'm doing my hair, as I tell my wife, I got to do my hair, so I put a hat on. I got my hair all fixed. So. But keep it in mind, keep it light if you're out in the sunshine, especially down here in Florida in the summertime. T-shirts, only one thing to talk about, long sleeve or short. That's pretty much it. I'm not so worried about, obviously a cotton. I don't want a polyester blend T-shirt. So I'm pretty much looking for a good old solid 100% cotton T-shirt, something that'll keep you cool in the summer. I don't usually fish in them because I want sleeves, and I don't like long sleeves cotton T-shirts. The heat builds up. Yeah, you sweat, and yeah, it wicks it. But honestly, I just don't care for a long sleeve T-shirt on. Plus, you have no neck protection unless you go with a buff, and we'll get to that in just a second. So if I'm going to wear them, long sleeve is for winter here. Cool days our cool days are in the 60s. Okay, sometimes 50s. It's the Keys, people. But I like long sleeves when it's chilly outside, especially on a chilly morning on the T-shirt. But it's mostly for wearing around the house, gardening, doing outside stuff, not being on the boat, and not cruising unless it's an undershirt. I will put on a long sleeve tee and throw on my Columbia or my Orvis shirt on top of that, so I'll have layers on. But if it comes down to getting really, really warm, the outer shirt comes off, the T-shirt comes off, and I put the fishing shirt back on. So there you go. Buffs. Ah, yes. That's what we all call them now. They're really scarves. They were called, you'll love this, wild rags or neckerchiefs. The cowboys wore them. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this thing goes around your neck and you knot it. Yeah, and it's made of gingham and plaids and things like that. These things were wildly popular here in the Keys back in the 70s, 80s. Everybody wore them until a company literally called Buff came along, Buff, and they came out with, let's see, I looked it up. 25 years ago in Barcelona is where these things came from. There were two guys there, I don't have their names, that decided to make a tube of elasticy, is that a word? Material that you pull over your head. So it's just a long tube. It's a tube. You pull it over your head, you pull it down onto your neck, and now you have something that is large enough to pull all the way up over your ears and over the top of your head and put your hat back on. So all you have poking out is your eyeballs. It comes up, covers your nose. So it literally keeps the sun totally off of you. You talk about SPF. That's the way to do it. And they became really, really popular and still are. As a matter of fact, you can get buffs of every size and color imaginable. So there you go. Look it up. Look it up online. And there's lots of knockoffs now. I mean, that was 20-some, what did I say, 25 years ago? Yeah. So there's other companies now making the Buff style thing, but the name Buff that's the original. So check them out. It's pretty cool. Pants, long or short? Both. It depends on what you're doing. If it's chilly, long. If it's not short, just make sure you put sunblock on your legs. And if you're on a boat, make sure you put it on the back of your knees because you're going to get burned from the sun reflecting up at you. Probably one of the coolest inventions ever, which I don't know who to attribute it to because I'm not sure who came up with it, is the zip-off pant leg. Might have been Columbia. That's the first time I remember seeing them. But basically, you have a long pant. There's a zipper above the knee, about halfway down from the pocket to the knee. You can literally unzip the bottom of the leg and pull the leg off. The only problem with them is putting it back on again. Really difficult. Shoes, flip-flops, tennis shoes, water shoes, or Crocs. All the above. I don't care what you wear. It's up to you. I go barefoot on the boat. I do not wear shoes on a boat while I'm fishing. I wear flip-flops around the house. I like Crocs when I'm working outdoors. I like Crocs at the boat dock and at the boat ramp. They're amazing for not slipping or sliding on even the greasiest covered ramp. They're really, really good. So there you go. Water shoes, man, there's all kinds of water shoes out there. And man, I could probably do a whole show on daggone shoes, but you know, whatever you like, quite frankly. But you're probably going to have to try several pair before you come up with that one that you're really, really crazy about. Last but not least, sunglasses. I'm just going to say this without, there are so many. Costa is probably the most popular in the fishing wear, but there's lots of other quality sunglasses out there now. So shop. You just want something that it's really, really good at seeing through water. You want polarized, okay? Make sure you get polarized. Now, there are different colors in the lenses, and that helps see through different types of water. If you use amber, brownish colors, things like that, orangey colors, that's going to be really, really good in tannin water and for seeing through water that is tannin. Basically, backwaters, mangrove areas in Florida, perfect if you get that color lens. The green ones also work pretty well, too. There's a green shade that's pretty good for cutting through the tannin. Doing offshore, blue. Yeah, just think of it that way. Blue water, blue glasses. Spend the bucks. I'm not kidding. Just get up there and do it. 200 plus. That's what it's going to cost you to get a really good pair that's going to last you in salt water. Salt is brutal on all equipment. It's also brutal on the hinges on sunglasses. It will ruin a cheap pair. So get you a quality pair. But buy a neck chain. Put the neck chain on. I don't care if you buy one. I don't care if you make one out of fishing line. Whatever you do, just put a neck chain on because you do not want to lose a $200 plus pair of glasses in the drink. Even in the clear water of the Keys, they can just flat disappear on the bottom and become really hard to find. So get you a neck chain. Before I sign off, thanks so much for the notes and some really good questions that have been coming in through email and the text. Keep them coming. I really enjoy it. I also read your positive notes are nice too. I appreciate those. Yes, rumor has it I'm working on book 4. Yeah, it's not a rumor. I am. I don't know. It hadn't got a title yet. I'll let you know more about it in the summertime as we get through spring here. I'm piddling with chapters at a time, and once I get things all put in order to where I feel like I really got something, I'll make an announcement on the title and what it's all about and what's going to happen. Thanks so much for taking the time to tune in. My podcasts are scheduled for each and every Tuesday. If you enjoyed listening, please tell a friend, leave a review, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's free. I know it says subscribe, but it's free. Catch You Outdoors is presented by the Waypoint Podcast Network, and it's available on Waypoint and many of your favorite podcast providers. Facebook page is Catch You Outdoors. The website is waypointtv.com and catchyoutdoors.com. Until next time, get outdoors and enjoy.